Everything's ¿Qué hubo, Raza? We're excited to have you join us once again for Platicas en el Pueblo. Today we'll be speaking with leaders and activistas from El Partido Nacional de la Raza Unida on takeaways, excitement, and information from our September 2022 Congreso, as well as honoring the memory and legacy of our camarada, compañero Ramsey Muniz today. Today we have el compañero Ernesto Ayala y la compañera Cynthia Garcia. We will go ahead and start with the Congreso that we had in September of 2022. I was really excited because this Congreso was fully in person and we were able to have it in Denver, Colorado, where there is a lot happening in terms of our movimiento, especially as it relates to raza in our barrios, and to have speakers and to have community. It was really an amazing time. We did also have a virtual component, so we were able to make El Congreso accessible to all of our camaradas across the nation. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and start. I just want to, kind of dive in and see what y'all's takeaways were from El Congreso, how it made you feel, and just kind of the way you walked away from, Denver or the computer that weekend, right? So you can go ahead and unmute to give us your takeaways.
I'll start then. So my name is Cynthia Garcia, and yes, El Congreso, I was not able to go, so I was very envious of the fact that my compañeros and compañeras were there. And so I was able to log in virtually from CalifAztlan, and it was very difficult for me to watch and listen through the computer, through the phone, because you wanted to be part of this event in person. And it was inspiring to hear everyone, to see everyone from the video that we were able to have. But it was definitely an event that one wishes they could have been at, because there's a lot of history going on there. And there's a lot of inspiring individuals there. Obviously, you two were there. So that's obviously something that everybody should know. But I left virtually every day, wishing I was there, wanting to hop on a plane to go there. But I definitely thought that it was a great Congreso. A lot was discussed, many decisions were made, and I think it provided us an opportunity to move forward and take the right steps for this upcoming year.
Gracias, compañera. I will agree with you too. I think going into this year's Congreso, I also was just excited to go and see everyone in person, people, across, the Chicano nation that we've been talking to virtually in the last, 2-3 years, aquí nomás en la computadora, and so it was really nice to gather and see everyone allí in Denver, and to hear so many inspiring pláticas, conversations, and I think to make so many strides so quickly. I think, last year when we had our Congreso, we left that Congreso virtually estimating, in the next 3 to 4 years, X, Y, and Z, right? And I just felt like that projection of 3 to 4 years, it just kind of went fast forward, and it was happening right before our eyes. Primo, how did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was something very historic. It was very historic, and it was like we saw the fruits of the labor, like you said, over the past 2-3 years, ¿verdad? To see everybody there, ¿verdad? And connect in person, and have local people from Denver, like the Professor Tim Hernandez, Candy de Vaca, and the other raza there, the danza group that went there and said a lot of good words as well, and I forgot the the sister's name, the older compañera, how she was talking about how she remembers Corky and she remembers the movimiento there in Denver, in their barrio right there. So, you see that connection, and you feel so attached to Denver, but we're not even from Denver, we're not even from Colorado, but it's, like you said, a part of our nation, part of Aztlan, our own raza all the way over there. And it was just, it was exciting, and also because there was a lot of stuff that happened, that hadn't happened in decades, such as the Chicana caucus, the Mujeres de la Raza Unida, developing the election of state representatives for California and Tejas. And for Tejas, I think, and other than that, but also that they're both compañeras, they're both sisters. And, that's what we're trying to promote, is that, it's not just the hombres in the struggle, it's the mujeres. Well, we're a nation. So that means everybody, and so we need to show, ¿verdad? That the partido is for all of us, and that the partido is a place that la mujer, la chicana, mexicana, la indígena, mujer, ¿verdad? La raza, mujer de la raza, can exercise her leadership, ¿verdad? As a leader in a struggle for liberation. So I think I'm very excited about that, ¿verdad? And that made me so proud, ¿verdad? And in particular, also because of Texas, ¿verdad? We now have membership in Texas, which we haven't had in probably over 40 years, ¿verdad? And now we have a developing chapter there with a state chair, Veronica Garcia, the two Garcia sisters, from one end of Aztlan to the other, ¿verdad? So I think that was very moving, ¿verdad? It was very moving to see that happen, ¿verdad? It was historic, ¿verdad? Just to see everyone engaged, like when we were on the last day, when we were like voting on things of the Constitution and all that, and there was like all this debate going on, and people not arguing but debating, and maybe a little disagreement there and here and this and that, but that's part of it, that's part of an organization, that's part of any institution, and that's always going to be a part of a political party, so, even though it was like very, like, I was like, oh my God, when is this going to be over? Because it was like, yeah, can we just get through this? But it was beautiful to go through that process, and it was beautiful because we work with each other, but that we depend on each other, but that, like the whole issue with the computers, or the Zoom situation, and then we all were trying to figure it out, but then jumping in, we see that revolutionary compañerismo, ¿verdad? That revolutionary comradeship, que se dijera, ¿verdad? That we depend on each other, that we work with each other. Something falls, we're not blaming each other, nothing like that. We're just trying to figure it out. And I think that's what we did, and we showed it, ¿verdad? And it's just even more forward now, ¿verdad? And the partido, this Congreso 2022, shown the advances we've made as a partido since 1 year, 2 years ago, ¿verdad? When we started organizing with a new central committee, ¿verdad? This new group and this new effort, ¿verdad? Because the partido, has obviously been active since 1970, in particular here in California, ¿verdad? And in San Fernando Valley, pero it's been active since then, but now we have this new effort at going nationwide, ¿verdad? And bringing in lots of more people, ¿verdad? And it's obviously very, very good people, ¿verdad? That'll make a move, and we've done that, ¿verdad? I think we've done that, and it's been, hasn't been easy, pero it's been like I said, even with like the Congreso in general, it's all been a very rewarding and beautiful process, ¿verdad? To see us grow, ¿verdad? Even if things aren't always smooth, but we're growing, we're building. The partido is nacional now, ¿verdad? Once again, the symbol and image of the partido, the symbol and image of Aztlan, the flag, is waving throughout the Southwest, ¿verdad? And beyond, ¿verdad? In Michigan, we have Raza. In Oregon, we have Raza organizing, ¿verdad? And there was people, I think, that jumped in that were on the East Coast también, So the partido is growing, ¿verdad? And I think we're moving in the right direction, and the Congreso proved it.
Yeah, I'll definitely also agree. I think for me, as a mujer, being in the position of vice chair, and also just learning a lot of the history of El Partido, and then moving forward and deciding on two state representatives, and they ended up being women, mujeres. And then, it was just a lot of I think for me, pride, you know, working in education for so long and, you know, seeing a lot of misinformation out there, I think about the Chicanx movement and that it was not inclusive of mujeres, it was not inclusive of trans, non-binary folks, right? La Raza Unida Party was one of the only movements of its time prior to, you know, even the women's rights movement to be, you know, nominating mujeres to be on ballots in different states, to have, you know, state representatives be mujeres in different states. And to occupy, you know, vice chair positions in El Partido since before even, you know, I would say, you know, the women's rights movement had even started. And so to me, it just gave me a very big sense of pride to know that like almost that affirmation continuously of I have joined, you know, the right, you know, political party. I have joined the right organization. You know, getting older, you know, our time is so stretched, right? And so I know that like this time that I'm spending in El Partido is well worth it. And all the organizing that we're doing is well worth it, especially for me who has so many intersectional identities, right? And I think, you know, just knowing that they're all honored within La Raza Unida. And if they haven't been written, that is my opportunity to write, right? And I think to be empowered to write and to have mujeres in that space, because, you know, I think sometimes it's on myself, writing so much, having done a dissertation, being part of these white systems, I was starting to feel like I'm not a good writer. I was starting to feel like I, you know, can't write. And so being in that space, in that room with other mujeres as well and saying, no, we need to write these things. We need to be part of documenting history, documenting our story, right? Documenting our intersectional identities into the movimiento and how, you know, we take on positions on certain things that are happening in society as part of the movimiento. You know, it's all really important to me. And so, you know, it was really there that a lot of, you know, the mujeres were moved by what was happening, by the history, by us coming together to discuss changes that still need to be made. I don't, you know, and not just in El Partido, but in education, in society, in policies, in government, right? Like everything that's going on around us. And to be able to sit together, you know, have lunch, discuss these things, you know, we definitely saw the need and the good work that we could do by forming, you know, our coalition, our caucus, our group, right? And being inspired by las mujeres de la Raza Unida and the work that they did in history, right? And so I was really excited to, you know, end that Saturday and move to instate the Chicana caucus, you know, and to see the excitement also of the mujeres, you know, and mujeres in our movimiento who, you know, identify as mujer, trans, non-binary, queer, right? So la mujer completa, you know, and so having that and being able to move towards that to me is really, really exciting, and to lead these efforts and to think about, you know, the conference that Las Mujeres de la Raza Unida had, you know, historically, and what that would look like for us and the different intersectional, right? Like I said, I'm queer, I'm Chicana, I'm from the barrio, I identify as, you know, a barrio person, I identify as chola, like all these different identities that I have, right? And being able to maybe see this all come together in, you know, a conference to really inspire, you know, our youth, our community members to come back out and to embrace El Partido Nacional de la Raza Unida in whatever state they're in, right? That's all to me really exciting. And, as I think about work that I do in different settings, in different places, I just continue to see how it all intersects with El Partido, and how El Partido is an integral part of this, right? And really bringing our community together, really bringing the barrio together, really amplifying the voice of la gente, right? And this isn't la gente that has been privileged, la gente que ya tiene dinero, right? This is all of our gente in the barrios, the working person, that doesn't always have time to get fully involved, and making sure that they're being heard and listened to, and they are central to what we're moving, right? To all the things that we're doing as part of El Partido, so I really left that weekend really inspired and really moved and really excited to continue organizing and to continue, bringing back a lot of what we have traditionally done within El Partido, and, continuing our coalition building with a lot of organizations that we've always worked with. And again, that's another misconception, that we haven't worked with indigenous communities. We haven't worked with black, with the Black Power movement, with the Black communities in their fight for liberation and justice as well, right? And so really making sure that we're also putting that information out there as part of El Partido, so that that folks don't kind of clump us in with other exclusionary organizations that have, traditionally been put at the forefront, right? And us being kind of just clumped in with them. Like, I think it's so important to have that information out there and to continue educating, right? Educating everyone, and continue educating our people on our history. It's so important to our identities, and I think to how we will be able to transform and change things for the Chicanx Nation.
It's funny that you're both talking about the diversity of the group, because I think that is very important, because you're talking about amplifying our voices, and then Ernesto was talking about, like, at the end, right, we were sitting there trying to vote on certain things, and there was a lot of discussion, and I think that just goes to show how far we've come, right, in the last 1 to 3 years, where people can have these discussions and still be able to move forward, make decisions for the betterment of our organization, right, of our political party, to be able to move forward. And I think that just shows how far these generations have come, how far we've all come to be able to have these discussions and actually move forward with decisions. Because back in the day, people could say, oh, well, we're all hotheads, we all don't know how to make decisions, we all argue. But there was some great discussions there with all valid points, and we had to talk it out and we had to figure it out. And I think that's very important for people to understand. That's what happened. That's how we got to where we got to. And then I think it would be very remiss of me to not point out that although La Hermana here is like, hey, I came out of there inspired, it was really thanks to you also bringing that up, right? I mean, that the Chicana Caucus, I think that's very, very important for us to outline, that it was really thanks to you really putting forward that effort to say, hey, let's bring this back, let's talk about this. And I think it's important for everybody to know that I got that phone call because it was in that moment where I was trying to take a shower, y'all. I was trying to take a shower and everybody was on their lunch. And then I get a phone call like, hey, we're voting about this. And I'm like, wait, what? I don't know what's going on here. But it's really, it goes to show how inspiring you are, hermana, to talk to people and to really help that the rise of the Chicana in this particular weekend, right? We've always been there. We've always been behind and up front of our fellow hermanos. But I think you really kind of catapulted us that weekend to be like, hey, you know what? We're gonna do something beautiful and we're gonna do it. And it was beautiful to see our hermanos like back us up and say, you know what? Yes. And it was just inspiring to see you do that. And as always, you inspire me. And I'm glad that we were able to meet each other, not that particular day, but yes, we've been on Zoom for 2 or 3 years, and seeing somebody in person, it's just something very, very beautiful, so I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that it's on record, it's recorded, that yes, it's really thanks to you. So, I applaud you, hermana, because that's, thanks to you, we're really trying to get things done, and I applaud you.
Thank you so much, hermana. I really appreciate you and all the work that you do too. And I think as organizers, um, all of us in the space, I feel like we all have so much love for our communities and for our people and for our barrios. And I think, for that weekend in particular, just kind of being able to sit there and say, like, this is far beyond me as a person, right? This is for our communities to come together. And I think one thing that I've really learned is that through unity, we can really move things forward. We need to be united, and we need to co-collaborate, with other people who are part of our struggle, of this struggle as well, because it's not about us, right? And it's not about us as, individuals or people. It's about the next generation and leaving um, this place, right, Aztlan, for the generations to come, so that they don't have to fight as hard as we did, right? And to honor, and I want to move this forward as well, to honor our antepasados, our ancestors, our organizers, our gente that came before us, that really have made strides, I think, as part of, the Chicanx movement, and even before that, and I think so many of our gente, our raza, other Chicanos have been killed, in moving things forward for us, and I think that's one thing I will say, we are still getting killed, unfortunately, at high numbers. Our Black and brown, siblings everywhere are being targeted, and I think and when I look at the past, I really call to our ancestral warriors, right, to that blood that we all have from our ancestors that really push us forward. And with that, I want to move us into honoring Ramsey Muniz, who joined El Partido Nacional in 1968 as a law student, and the work that he did, and not just for himself, and not just for him, right? It wasn't for him, it was for the people. And even I don't know how many of y'all out there know the history of Ramsey Muniz, but he was also very integral in helping to support hermanas in the movimiento, compañeras, siblings, who were also at that time in history were not being honored, were fighting for their own rights, and I want to go ahead and open it up to have a little bit of a conversation about Ramsey's legacy, and what he means to El Partido, and the big void that is now left with his passing.
Yeah, I think he passed away was on the 2nd, ¿verdad? And he was an older brother, an older gentleman, ¿verdad? He spent a lot of time in prison, ¿verdad? He was in prison on trumped up charges, ¿verdad? He was in prison without way beyond any justifiable time, ¿verdad? Because he was very, very sick, ailing, but he had a lot of ailments. And but I feel what I know about him, but is that he was a very, very charismatic and powerful speaker. But like you said, he embodied what the partido was supposed to be, but not like something for himself, but something to uplift the raza, in general, and helping out the compañeras take on that leadership as well, and I know he traveled throughout the Southwest, he spoke here in San Fernando back in the late 70s. And he spoke throughout Texas, obviously, throughout California, Arizona, New Mexico. And when you heard him talk, ¿verdad? You heard that passion and that anger, ¿verdad? That he wanted the Raza to wake up and understand that we need to build our own political party, ¿verdad? Our own political organization that will fight for our interest as Raza, ¿verdad? Without having to, compromise anything, because we shouldn't compromise anything, ¿verdad? If our people have certain needs as a people, ¿verdad? Then we should fight for that. And I think Ramsey embodied that spirit of resistance and struggle, ¿verdad? Again, unfortunately, ¿verdad? He spent so much time behind bars that when he was released, he was already, much older, and he passed away, just, what was it, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 4 years after, so yeah, but he was, he came from working class Chicano roots, ¿verdad? Working in the field with his mom, ¿verdad? Um, he was the first Chicano to run for governor, the first Latino to run for governor in the state of Texas, ¿verdad? For Chicano, obviously, ¿verdad? So there was a lot of stuff that he did, a lot of stuff that he represented, ¿verdad? Pero, I think like so many of our elders, ¿verdad? Mujeres y hombres, ¿verdad? That have struggled for our people in general, and from the partido in particular, ¿verdad? They're never recognized, never given the recognition. So I think this is a good opportunity to give that, ¿verdad? To Ramsey, ¿verdad? In particular, obviously, right now, ¿verdad? That we're remembering him, ¿verdad? And giving our condolences to his family, ¿verdad? And honoring him, ¿verdad? Pero also to other raza, ¿verdad? That have just gone unnoticed, ¿verdad? For example, at the Congreso, we did honor Ricardo Falcón, who was murdered on his way to the convention of 1972, ¿verdad? Assassinated by a racist, Perry Brunson. We also recognized the Los Seis de Boulder, the students, which included, Chicanas, Neva Romero, who were assassinated in 2 separate car bombings, just for wanting Chicano studies. That's it. That's all they wanted. But also we recognize those people, and obviously there's a whole bunch of people, pero I think it's something we should always recognize. Even the fact, that the partido has lasted so long, but it's because of people from the past, such as Ramsey, or my father, Genaro Ayala, Carlos Pelayo, Mary Lee Montano, Daniel, that was there as well, Daniel Osuna, ¿verdad? Some of my tia Stella Ayala, ¿verdad? My mother, Marta Martinez, ¿verdad? Other people, like that have continued struggling over and over and over, and never gave up on that dream, that yes, we can be free. Yes, we can, be liberated, and to do that, we need to build this organization. Even like you said, hermana Vanessa, something that goes beyond our individual self, we know we're not gonna literally see all these gains, but we're, like you said, we're pushing it forward so that our future generations can have a more, organized party that struggles for them, can have more people in this party, and have more resources for our people, from our people, to be able to build and liberate, ¿verdad? What is ours. So every generation, every person that joins the partido pushes it a little forward, ¿verdad? And I think we get that perfect example from our elders, ¿verdad? Such as Ramsey and some of the other people that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I think I want to add to that, like, one thing that I would, say also in terms of Ramsey and is his ability to stay connected and to never give up, and I think that is so hard sometimes, where you continuously are fighting and trying to get the representation for our people, right? Especially as people continue to be washed and assimilated through the systems of education, through the systems of society, through all of these different ways that I think they're continuing to strip away our cultura, our identities, our histories. And so even, one thing I did want to say about Ramsey is that, although in 1972, when he first ran with Alma Canales on the ticket, he was, facing a time where women weren't respected. They weren't, you know what I'm saying? They weren't honored either, right? And so to support in that way, and then, you know, and after losing, right? Because they lost, you know, that election, and running again, and like getting up and trying again, right? Like that should be our slogan in the movimiento, right? And like just all the people you just mentioned who have not left our side, you know, who are still here, and you know, they are definitely you know, in their, you know, really elder years already, right? And they're probably so tired of always, you know, coming up against these systems, just to advance our people and to advance, you know, la causa, advance, you know, our gente. And it's just, it's really sad, you know, I think when I see that, but also very empowering to me as, you know, I would say still a young Chicana, right? But to see, you know, that regardless of how you know, how many times he had to get up and try again, and then be, you know, pushed into the carceral system, and you know, have had to spend most of his life there, right? It's just, you know, I think to me, to know what an honor that that's, you know, I think my lineage within el partido, that that's the people that, you know, lifted me up and brought me up, you know, and to know that some of them are still here, and to honor their experiences and their histories as we continue to change and transform, and include and you know, mold el partido, to really outreach into all aspects of our community, and all the gente, all the siblings that are part of our community, and uplift them, you know, so that when I look back, you know, when I'm hopefully, you know, 80 years old, I see que el movimiento todavía vive, you know, that the movement is still alive. So I definitely, you know, thank you for mentioning all those, all of the people whose shoulders we really stand on.
Yeah, you know, it's yeah, like you said, we stand on their shoulders, you know, and it's like a chain, you know, one day future generations are gonna say that about us, you know, we stand on their shoulders. They moved the partido forward from where it was at that point, and they kept it going. But it's just a beautiful thing to see, you know. It's a beautiful thing to see that the partido has gone through generations of our people, ¿verdad? That kept it alive only because our people have kept it alive. You know, there's been no, I mean, it's not affiliated to Democrats, obviously never to the Republicans, either, you know, of those. It's not affiliated to any other, you know, organization. It's come directly from the raza, from the barrio, you know, from people that were like, you know, we just need to do this. Not getting paid, not getting recognized sometimes, like you said, going against insurmountable odds, people telling you, why do you want to do that? Why do you even say you're a Chicano? What are you talking about, Aztlan? You're crazy, you're this and that. And but understanding, hey, you know what, man? I know I'm right. I know I'm right. And I know the potential of our people, you know, so we need to keep this going. And here we are, you know, here we are again, you know, and it's está floreciendo, you know, the partido, you know, once again. So yeah, you know, it's, I think what we're talking about proves it.
I think it's important that people know that where everybody has come from, right? Whether you're in the partido or someone like Muniz is, right? Like his life honors what many of our lives have mirrored, coming from working class family, whether it's first generation, growing up in this messed up world right now, trying to find yourself, trying to figure out your identity, and having these heavy responsibilities in life, right? Working in the fields, working with your parents until late. Some of us also, you know, going to school, he did the same thing. He sacrificed his law degree for el movimiento, right? And that's a lot. And also his freedom, something that was just taken away in a blink of an eye. So I think that is a legacy that should always be honored, always be remembered, not only in our history, but US history. And that's the problem too, right? It's not going to happen. It's going to be something just like a page on a website. It's already difficult learning about our own history, let alone these key figures that they don't want us to learn about. You know, I think the persistence of the fight that he had within el movimiento is a prime example of el partido and Chicanx history, and that make up a very important and integral part of our American political landscape. And I think that's important for people to know the kind of person he was, the kind of person we all are, where we come from. We're not these great, rich people with great careers and beautiful, lives. And we all come from El Barrio. Most of us come from, or a good amount of us come from single parent households. Some of us are not as lucky. And some of us, have had jobs since we were 15 years old or even younger. Some of us work 3 or 4 jobs and go to school and take care of our families and take care of our siblings. And it's a lot. And I think people need to know where we come from to be able to understand, hey, the fight is here. And it's regular people. We're not, hijos de mamis and papis where we have, these nice trust funds. It's not. We're just regular people just trying to make a difference. And I think that's something that Muniz did.
Yeah, thank you, hermana, for saying that. And as I think we close up here today, and as we wrap up, that we talked about El Congreso and Ramsey, and I think a lot of the history of El Partido de la Raza Unida, and with that, I feel like the history, is a foundational to the movimiento, to everything that we continue to do, right? But as time goes on, we continue adding to that history. And so I think one thing that I heard us all say is that we're all extremely proud to be here, excited for the history that we will continue to move and cultivate, in a hope for the history to continue way beyond us and way past us. And so thank you both for, joining today. Thank you all, Raza out there who are listening to us, who tuned in to hear this segment. So if you're interested again in joining us and just even knowledge sharing, I think that's such an integral part of our history. We do have our study group efforts, in every time zone available now. If you visit our website, razaunidaparty.org, and click study group, you can join us to study every Wednesday night according to your time zone. But other than that, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow at la_raza_unida_party. So that's for today, Raza. And as always, que viva la raza.
Que viva.
Que viva.